This is the video presentation for the CASE Introduction to Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources course. Legal Land Description, Lesson 6.2, This is My Land. You've completed Part 1 of Activity 621, Stake Your Claim. Can you describe the 2 tracts of land you selected? This presentation will help you understand how land boundaries are formally defined. As you view this video, be sure to make notes of important information. Feel free to pause, repeat, and resume the video whenever necessary. When land is sold or purchased, money changes hands. New owners want to have access to every bit of land parcel, whether it's a vacant lot in town, a few acres of vegetable production, or a 1,000-acre parcel of grazing livestock. What problems might arise from ill-defined boundaries? Pause the video to brainstorm issues that might be caused by confusion about where land boundaries are. Resume the video to learn about how land boundaries are defined. 3 different common systems are used to survey land in the United States. The metes and bounds system was inherited from England. The 13 colonial states, as well as Maine, Vermont, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia, were surveyed using the metes and bounds system. The system uses physical descriptions of the land, landmarks, points, angles, and measurements to describe the boundaries of the property. The rectangular survey system was developed as a westward expansion took place and vast amounts of land needed to be surveyed quickly. It uses meridians and baselines to place land on a grid-like system. Most of the rest of the United States was surveyed using this system. In towns and cities where land is divided into small parcels, usually less than 1 acre, the lock and block system is used in conjunction with a larger system. Which system would you use to describe where you live? Viewed from above, land parcels in a metes and bounds survey are asymmetrical, with irregular shapes and varying angles at corners. Roads may be set askew and contain many curves. Surveyors would begin at a defined starting point, then use a compass to determine the angle or course, and then the surveyors would measure the length or distance of the first boundary. At the end of the first side, a new angle would be set using the compass and the length of the second side would be measured. This would continue until the entire parcel of land was enclosed by boundaries described. Area or acreage is determined by calculating square footage of the area and then converting to acres. 1 acre is equal to 43,560 square feet. Advantages of the metes and bounds survey system include clear visual indicators that define boundaries and a description of the perimeter that another could follow. Parcels may have more natural boundaries and land use may be more efficient. Disadvantages include that it is difficult to determine acreage, landmarks can move, die, be replaced, etc. And over long periods of time, measurement systems may change. Viewed from above, land parcels in a rectangular survey usually have straight boundaries with right angles. Most parcels are standard-sized squares or rectangles. Roads often look like a square grid on the land. In a rectangular survey state, many counties will be similar in length and/or width. In the rectangular survey system, a tract of land is identified by a meridian and baseline. The meridians are further divided into range lines, while baselines are divided by tier lines. Then, the 576 square mile tract is divided into 16 townships, each about 36 square miles in size. The 2 townships in this depiction would be identified as Township Tier Number 1 North, 1st Range West. This would be stated as T1N R1W. Located in the tract on the left is 1 township north of the baseline and 1 township west of the meridian. The township on the right is Township 3 North, Range 3 East, located 3 townships north of the baseline and 3 townships east of the meridian. On a map, this would read as T3N R3E. Each township is further divided into a smaller grid of squares divided into square miles or sections. A township is divided into 36 sections, each section measuring roughly 1 square mile. Sections are numbered 1 through 36 for identification. Numbering sections within a township starts in the upper right-hand corner on a map, or the northeast corner in the survey. Surveyors, often working on foot, would walk around every section to measure 1 mile increments. They walked from the east side to the west side of the township. The next tier of sections was then measured west to east, hence the back and forth pattern of the numbering. Parcels of land within the section are described in terms of halves or quarters. No other fractions are used. A half section would be the north half, the south half, the west half, and the east half. A quarter section could be the northwest quarter, the northeast quarter, southwest quarter, or southeast quarter. Smaller parcels are halves or quarters of the larger halves or quarters. For example, Tract A is the west half of the section. Tract C, on the other hand, would be the west half of the northeast quarter of the section. Tract F, a very small parcel, would be described as the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of the section. Because every section is a square mile, or 640 acres, acreage is easily calculated. Tract A, then, being the west half of the section, would be about 320 acres in size. Tract C, being the west half of the northeast quarter, would be about 80 acres in size. Tract F would be 10 acres in size. Shown here is Section 1 of a township. Can you legally describe and calculate for each remaining parcel in Section 1? Pause the video to describe the calculated acreages. Resume the video to check your calculations. Parcel B is described as the southeast quarter of Section 1 and is about 160 acres. Parcel D is the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 1 and would have 40 acres more or less. Parcel E is the west half of the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 1. Parcel E is about 20 acres in size. Parcel G is the west half of the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 1. The acreage is written as 5 acres, more or less. Parcel H is described as the east half of the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 1. Parcel H is the same size as Parcel G, or about 5 acres. Variations in the actual acre measurements come from the application of a two-dimensional measurements applied to the curved surface of the Earth. Topography may also cause variations in acreage. Keep any notes you have from this presentation, organized and available for use throughout the course. You will apply this information to Part 2 of Stake Your Claim. You will determine which type of description system to use for both parcels you chose in Part 1, and then attempt to describe both parcels. You should know more about how property is legally defined and recorded based upon a standardized regulatory system.